Defendant Chidi Onunkwo. Am I pronouncing that last name correctly, sir? Onunkwo? Mr. Onunkwo, you are charged with the felony offense of murder.
Officer observed a passenger car speeding, confirmed the speed at 83 miles per hour in a 50 mile per hour zone. Officer was traveling southbound and the car northbound. The officer turned on its emergency lights, the patrol, and to initiate a traffic stop. The car was red in color, and it was stopped at a red light at the intersection of West Airport Boulevard. The officer approached the car to tell the driver to pull into a parking lot. When the officer got to the driver's side of the car, officer saw a black male in the driver's seat. Driver looked at the officer, then drove off. The officer was able to see the car as it was traveling northbound on State Highway 6. Officer observed the car run several red lights. The vehicle entered into Harris County, and after going over the overpass of West Park Toll Road, the car was approaching the intersection of Schiller Road that had a red light. The car did not stop and crashed into a black passenger car that had a green light and had entered the intersection. Officer started to check on the occupants. The driver of the red car was lying outside the car on the ground. Officer went to check on the second driver and saw a female trapped in the driver's seat. As the officer was checking on the second driver, the officer saw the black male of the red car get up. Officer shouted to another officer that was standing next to the male to handcuff him. The officer was placing handcuffs on the black male when he ran off, but was caught and placed in a patrol unit. Officer was informed by dispatch that the red car that had a temporary tag was stolen. And on a report from the Houston Police Department, the report information stated that the car was robbed by a black male with a semi-automatic pistol earlier in the morning at around 2:30 a.m. The description of the black male was very close to the description of the driver of the red car, who was identified as Chidi Onunkwo. EMS was called to the scene to check on both drivers and informed the officer that the female driver of the car had passed away. The motor vehicle that the defendant was driving at the time of the offense belonged to Mr. Aguilar, who did not give the defendant permission to be driving his vehicle. Mr. Aguilar had his motor vehicle taken from him at gunpoint approximately 4 hours prior to defendant crashing into and killing the female. Defendant matches the physical description of the person who robbed Mr. Aguilar.
Mr. Onunkwo, there is probable cause for your arrest in this case. It will be assigned to the 228th District Court with Judge Mark Carter. Mr. Onunkwo, do you plan to request a court-appointed lawyer to represent you in this case, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you like the assistance of the Public Defender's Office during this hearing?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Ms. Alfred, what is the state's position on Mr. Onunkwo's bond amount?
Judge, the state is requesting bond be set in the amount of $250,000 given the allegations in this case, and also there is a continuing investigation into other serious offenses committed by the defendant, including the aggravated robbery of the vehicle he was driving.
All right, thank you. Ms. Gonzalez?
Judge, I just want to say that Mr. Onunkwo is 17 years old. Judge, this is his first offense that I can see. Judge, he has no prior misdemeanors, no prior felonies. He scores a 2-1, which is a below average risk. I realize it's a serious offense, Judge, but he has no funds, no money which to make bond in any case. His father is who he lives with, but his father is out of town working in South Carolina. Judge, we just ask that you set a bond at $30,000.
Ms. Gonzalez, is Mr. Onunkwo from Houston, Texas? The address provided here is in North Carolina.
Judge, he is originally from Chicago, but he came down here to live with family.
How long has he lived in the Houston area?
A few months, Judge.
All right, I do acknowledge that Mr. Onunkwo does have no prior criminal history, and he is only 17 years old. However, the allegation that the vehicle was taken in an aggravated robbery, the high-speed chase, and of course the death of the complaining witness all weigh against those factors. I am going to grant the state's request in this instance. I'm setting the bond at $250,000. Mr. Onunkwo, sir, are you a citizen of the United States? Thank you, sir. You may go with the deputies at this time.